What's up, everybody? Welcome to week 7 of the Flex. I am Josh Rodriguez. I am here to help you set your lineups by telling you who to start in your Flex. I hope you've been doing well this season. I hope you're in prime time playoff position because right now you're either halfway or more than halfway onto your fantasy football season. I'm going to try my best to help you out here, so let's get started with 5 new questions. All right, our first question is from Connor. He wants to know who to start in his Flex between Tevin Coleman, Phillip Lindsay, Alshon Jeffrey, and Julian Edelman. First, let me just say I like all the matchups. I like every single player on this list right now. I think you have nothing but good choices, but let me break it down for you. First, Tevin Coleman. Right now, he's the lead back there in Atlanta. Devonta Freeman's out for what looks like the rest of the fantasy year, but he is sharing that backfield with Ito Smith. They're playing the Giants at home. Yes, at home. That matters to you people who commented on the fact that I said Matt Ryan on the road would struggle, which he did, but he's not going to struggle at home against a team that's imploding, the New York Giants. I think Tevin Coleman has a nice chance to score. I just don't know what role Ito Smith's going to play because Tevin Coleman hasn't done much to separate himself, so I would hold your horses a little bit on Tevin Coleman. I do think he has a decent week, but I like other options better. Phillip Lindsay, going against the Arizona Cardinals. A running back has scored on Arizona in every single game this week. The problem is with Denver, you don't know which running back it's going to be. Is it going to be Booker? Is it going to be Freeman? Is it going to be Lindsay? I like Lindsay better than all those other running backs in Denver, but at the same time, who's going to get that goal line carry? I don't know. Lindsay, in the standard format, it's not PPR. I don't really see him hitting double digits without scoring a touchdown. Very touchdown dependent. Therefore, I would be cautious with him and sit him based on the choices given to me. Now, Julian Edelman going against Chicago. In Chicago, I think Brady's going to have a decent day. I know Chicago's a very good team. Their defense is one of the best defenses in the league, but I still think he's Tom Brady. I still think he's fine. I still think Julian Edelman gets targets, and I think he does okay. Might get in the end zone, but if I'm you, I'm rocking with Alshon Jeffrey. The Panthers give up, I think, the 3rd most points in PPR formats to wide receivers at Alshon's position. And Alshon had 2 touchdowns last week against the New York Giants. One seems to be rolling a little bit. Alshon seems to be healthy. He's the #1 option, him or Ertz, arguably, in that offense. I would roll with Alshon. I think he scores. I think he puts up close to 100 yards. If I had to choose between the 4, I'm going Alshon. But I got to admit, I like all your options there, Connor. All right, our next question is from Seth. He wants to know who to start in his Flex non-PPR between Phillip Lindsay, Alex Collins, and Carlos Hyde. Now, I just told you what I think of Phillip Lindsay. I like him a lot going against that Arizona defense. It is on a Thursday night, but I still like him there. It's just that who's going to get that goal line carry? I don't know if it's going to be him. I don't know if it's going to be Freeman. I don't even know if it's going to be Booker. So you're kind of playing roulette there. With Alex Collins, I know he had 2 touchdowns last week, but that's out of the norm. I think that's his ceiling right there. I think the most you can get from Alex Collins in a game is the 50 or so yards and the 2 touchdowns he had last week. That's the most points he's going to have in the season. You're typically going to get 40 to 50 yards from him, and you're going to be lucky if he gets in the end zone and has a reception or 2. I'm still going with Carlos Hyde. Listen, I know he struggled the past 2 weeks, but they're playing against Tampa Bay, which is a decent matchup for Baker, which means that Cleveland's going to have opportunities to score the football. Carlos Hyde is going to get at least 15 to 20 touches, and when they get down to the goal line, it's Carlos Hyde. It's him. I mean, he's had multiple touchdowns in a game. He's had 5 touchdowns this year. I think he recovers. I think he bounces back against Tampa Bay. I would start him. All right, our next question is from Nick. He wants to know who to start in his Flex between Alex Collins, Matt Breida, Devin Funchess, and Mohamed Sanu. Okay, so this one's really interesting. Alex Collins, like I just told you before, this is standard. This is not PPR. He's probably going to get you 50 to 60 yards max, maybe a touchdown. You know his ceiling there. Matt Breida is a very interesting fantasy football player because I feel like he has such potential, but for some reason, Kyle Shanahan is not giving him the workload. He's splitting his carries, and it's very frustrating because I'm a Breida owner, and I think he should be at least an RB2. But if he doesn't score a touchdown, I'm not sure if he gets into double digits. I mean, he's getting 10 to 15 carries a game. You got to hope he gets in. C.J. Beathard does not look for him in the flat. He doesn't have many receptions on the year, so I would be careful starting him. As far as Devin Funchess, Greg Olson's back, which means Cam Newton's most reliable and favorite target is back. They're also playing against Philadelphia, who I think is starting to play a lot better, especially defensively. I would not trust Devin Funchess this week. I would start Mohamed Sanu at home Monday Night Football against the New York Giants. Like I keep saying, Matt Ryan is a different quarterback at home. The Falcons are a different team offensively at home. And I think Sanu is going to have the opportunity to score maybe 1 or 2 touchdowns. It's going to be him or Calvin Ridley. And right now, Sanu has been pretty hot. He's been scoring in double figures for the past 3 weeks. I think he continues the trend at home against a team that's reeling. All right, our next question is from Adonis. He wants to know who to start in his flex standard league, LaShawn McCoy or Robert Woods. Now listen, I love Shady. He's actually one of my favorite running backs of all time. That's saying a lot because I'm a Giants fan. But that offense is awful. It's awful. I know they're playing the Colts, and the Colts don't have the best defense in the world. But when Derek Anderson's starting for you, I just don't, like, how are you going to move the football? I know it's not Nathan Peterman. I just can't see Derek Anderson moving the football with those weapons. Shady's his only weapon, so I do expect Shady to have touches and to have opportunity. I just don't know how much opportunity he's going to have to score the football. And this is standard, so you're not going to get any extra points for him catching anything PPR. I just don't like Shady this week over Robert Woods, who's one of the hottest receivers right now in fantasy football. Cooper Kupp is questionable, so we don't know if he's going to play. And if Cooper Kupp doesn't play, or even if he's half what he is, Robert Woods becomes more of a target. I think he puts up at least 100 yards against that San Francisco secondary. Jared Goff is going to tear him to pieces. I think he's going to throw at least 3 touchdowns, and it's a great chance that Robert Woods gets one of them. He wants to know who to start at running back and his flex between Golden Tate, Mark Ingram, and Matt Breida. Listen, first, this is simple. Mark Ingram, you start him every week. Every single week. No questions asked. Don't ask this question again. You play him every week unless you're in a 10-team league and you are absolutely stacked at running back. You start Mark Ingram every week, period. And if he starts sucking for 2 or 3 straight weeks, you can come back, you can message me on Twitter, and you can say how much I suck and told you to do this and do that. But listen, he had a great week last week. He had a great season last season. I don't see why that doesn't continue. Now, between Breida and Golden Tate, listen, I'm a Breida owner. I want him to succeed, but Kyle Shanahan does not care about your fantasy football team, and he is hell-bent on having a running back by committee offense. Plus, Breida's banged up. I still think he has a decent day. I think he has a decent amount of yards. If it's PPR, it doesn't really catch much out of the backfield, so that's not really too important in this for him. But it is important for Golden Tate, because if it's PPR, you're definitely starting Golden Tate. I'd still start Tate in standard, but if it's PPR, it's Golden Tate, no doubt on this one. Listen, I know they're playing Miami. I know it's on the road, and it's not ideal for Matthew Stafford. And listen, Miami defense is good. It's not that great, though. Stafford still has the ability to put up 300 yards. Golden Tate's the #1 option there, and he's a top candidate to score a touchdown on that offense. I would start Golden Tate. Even if he does not put up a touchdown, he's still a candidate to put up 10 or more fantasy points, more likely than Breida with that running back by committee. So start Golden Tate. That is my answer, and that does it for this week's flex. Listen, I keep seeing people saying, where do I ask these questions? You ask them on Dustin's waiver wire video on Monday. Just drop a comment on YouTube. If you want, after this video, you can follow me on Twitter at Josh_Rodriguez_, and I'll answer your questions there if you just hit me up.